Semi-recently, a Christian said to me something I found quite interesting in retrospect. She explained that when European Christian slave traders began conducting their operations in Africa, they found a rationalization for it in the Bible. A literal interpretation led them to conclude that darker skin was these native Africans bearing the mark of Cain, and therefore bondage to these who happened to call themselves God's people, just ask them, was necessary in order to cleanse them of evil. In this, she concluded the impracticality of a literal interpretation. I don't know where I would look to find independent verification of this, but assuming for the sake of argument that this is true, observe her only reason for abandoning a literal interpretation is an aversion to bigotry. What if someone has no such aversion? Indeed, the aforementioned slave traders didn't. Neo-Nazis don't. Klansmen don't. Skinheads don't. What if you found yourself discussing faith, Christianity, and the Bible with someone from one of these groups? How would you demonstrate to him or her what's wrong with a literal interpretation of the Bible? You could try insisting that this interpretation is not correct, but they're only going to disagree and insist that it is, and that your interpretation is the one in error, and then it's your insistence against theirs. You could try telling them that they're not really putting God first, or listening with their hearts, or surrendering to God's will to guide their interpretation, but they're just going to insist that they are, and that you're the one who's not. What's more, in the latter case, you're relying on God's will to guide one's interpretation of the Bible. Isn't the whole point of the Bible to guide one's interpretation of God's will? Which of the two is to be relied upon to interpret the other? What are you going to do to escape this your word against theirs situation?